Welcome to Too Old, Too New, the music discovery podcast that brings you something old, something new, something Nate, something Bruce. I'm Nate Runkle, host of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast, and with me, as always, is my good friend Bruce Warren from WXPN.
Howdy.
The premise of this show is simple. Each week, we bring you two songs apiece. One new song that has been metaphorically spinning our turntable platters, and one old song that we believe absolutely still matters. What's up, dude?
It looks like you're on location somewhere. You filming a new movie? What are you doing?
That's right. It's vacation, Nate, drinking out of his Cape Cod mug while sitting on Cape Cod.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, man. And how about you? You got a busy week here.
Yeah, we're ready. We're rocking 2 more days and counting for the XPoNential Music Festival presented by Subaru. It's all sort of one thing at this point. The big WXPN Music Festival, you know, it's our 27th, 28th something year. 3 days of music in Camden on the Wiggins Park, Camden waterfront, and we're ready to rock. So, you know, we're right now. Somebody asked me, I was at the War on Drugs last night, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" They were like, "Well, you have a music festival in 3 days," and I was like, "Well, that's in 3 days, so I'm here to rock." And, you know, my job will start Friday morning when the bands start loading in. So that's, you know, but everybody's hard at work. Everybody who works here is involved with the festival. So, but we're psyched.
That is no surprise to me because you guys put on, without a doubt, my favorite festival that exists on this planet. Not just because it's always a great place to discover new music and a great place to see great bands and stuff like that, old favorites and whatnot, but also because my very first technical date with my now wife was a weekend at the XPoNential Music Festival.
Oh, that is so sweet. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we were in the lawn dancing in the rain to Beck when I knew that there was nobody else I was going to spend the rest of my life with.
You know,
if she could stick it out, then she was worth it.
That's a tell right there for sure.
That's awesome. So in honor of the XPoNential Music Festival presented by Subaru at Wiggins Park this weekend, we have decided to do some new and old picks from people who will be performing on the stages, both Marina and River, at the festival. 2-stage festival. If you're not familiar, it's do you have a preferred stage?
No, they're equally great. Great.
I love the Marina stage. There's like, mostly because I think one of my favorite things in the world is seeing somebody on the Marina stage and then like 3 or 4 years later seeing them on the River stage, knowing they're on the come up. But I always find that the Marina stage every year gives me like one artist who I was not familiar with going in and then becomes my greatest obsession coming out.
Well, that's good. And, you know, if for those of you who are listening or watching, the Marina stage is the smaller stage. The other thing is, you know, one of the great things about the festival is that there is no overlapping of the music, right? So it gives people, and the footprint of the festival is very reasonable. So it only takes a couple minutes to go from one stage to the other. But there has been in the last, you know, well, since the pandemic, since we came back from the pandemic, there is this sort of new thing in terms of the seating where people position their chairs like right on the edge of the crossover on the field between the River stage and the Marina. So that tends to be a little heavy, like on the chair side of things, but it all works out. But yeah, it's great to know that, you know, we got discovery of new bands on sort of both stages, which is sort of good.
Yeah, I'm always jealous and envious of the people who get there early enough, not just to claim one of those spots, but also, I don't know if you've seen the people who will set up hammocks in between the trees there. I'm like, man, you guys are living the life.
Yeah.
But of course, like I said, we have some picks here from people who will be performing at the festival. So, Bruce, why don't you start with your something new?
Okay, so my something new is Grace Bowers and the Hodge Podge. Grace is a guitar player from Nashville. And, you know, I'm one of a couple people who book the bands. And a friend of mine who lives in Nashville about a year plus ago had been telling me about this 17-year-old incredible guitar player, Grace Bowers. And I went to their YouTube channel and literally within a minute of watching a video, I said, we're booking her for the festival. And so it is. So we have Grace coming to the area, making her debut, her like area debut. We're really psyched. A new album came out a couple weeks ago, and just unbelievably electric performer. And let's do this one. It's called "Tell Me Why You Do That." It's Grace Bowers. Anyway, there you go, Grace. That's Grace Bowers. And Nate, as you know, because you attend, every year we like to have a balance of like new artists and some heritage artists. And we'll talk about the heritage artists in a little bit. But the discovery piece for us is really, really key because we play a ton of new music, as you know, at XPN. And we've been talking, internally for a few weeks now, as the show has been booked for a while, about who we think the audience is gonna be the breakout artist. And I'm saying it's gonna be Grace because she's a phenomenal player and the band is going to be kicking. So there you go. And what do you got for new?
Without a doubt. Real quick before I get to my new, that piece, the da 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 da, and then the do 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 do. How have you guys restrained yourself from not using that as the the interstitial music on the radio station? Because it feels like something that would intro. Like I want to hear Bob Mbera's voice right after the do 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 do.
Okay. How haven't we not done it? Nobody has thought of it. But thank you, Nate. I'm gonna pass that on to our production folks.
There you go. I like to give you guys a little music bed.
Yeah. Beautiful.
My new pick this week is from one of my favorite albums this year by far, and it's Halfsies by Lizzie No. I was completely unfamiliar with Lizzie leading into the release of this album, and the second I heard it, it became an obsession. I picked it up on vinyl because it just sounds so incredibly warm, vinyl. And the song that I'm picking this week is my favorite song in the album, and it's Sleeping in the Next Room, which just opens with this beautiful vocal harmony, which features, I wrote it down, Kate Victor, and then the one I didn't have to write down, Sadie Dupuis of Speedy or Tease.
Yes.
Sadie is actually on two of my favorite albums this year, that and the Illuminati Hotties Power.
That's right. That's right.
Which still makes me laugh because I was like, man, this song feels like a Speedy Ortiz song. And I was like, it must have been working with the band when she produced Rabbit Rabbit that Sarah took this on. And then I looked at the credits and I was like, oh no, Sadie's on it. That's
makes
why
sense.
It feels like.
Makes sense.
But no, Lizzie No, absolutely phenomenal. Was my favorite performance at Non-Com this year. Not named Fontaine's DC, but that's just because they blew my head off my face. But she's absolutely incredible. And so let's listen to a little Sleeping in the Next Room. It's just phenomenal, and her harp playing on it is just incredible, absolutely incredible, and I'm really excited to see her outside and to be able to rock out to that.
Yeah, Lizzie, I'll tell you, the reason why I love Lizzie, love the new record, the reason why I have not chosen Lizzie as like the breakout artist is because she's been in front of our audience a few times now. So our audience is sort of familiar with her. Not that everybody who listens to the radio is going to be at the festival. And there will be people who will have no idea who Lizzie No is. And then they will fall deeply in love, maddeningly deeply in love with Lizzie. But Lizzie is, she played our music conference, the Non-Com that you mentioned. She did a Free at Noon for us. And, we've had her album in rotation for over a year now, right? So I'm very psyched, though. But Lizzie, a funny story, Lizzie... 3 years ago, I guess, we went, when I say we, World Cafe went to Nashville for a few shows, and we did some performances at the African American Museum in Nashville, which if you've never been to, you should go. And I wanted to book Lizzie, so we reached out to Lizzie, and she put a super band together of like these incredible Nashville performers, and I fell in love. I always liked her music up to that point, but that night, seeing her on stage with all these people, I just fell more in love with Lizzie. So yeah, Lizzie's a great choice, and we're really psyched that they're going to be joining us at the festival. So
I'll also use this platform to kind of do the thing that I like to do every once in a while, which is pressure people into coming to the show. Lizzie and I have had a back and forth about coming on Yo, That's My Jawn, and it just hasn't worked out. But it's going to work out one of these days. So Lizzie, let's make this happen.
All right. All right.
You got to use your platform, Bruce. So let me ask you a question that I've always been curious in, and you mentioned legacy artists and new artists for discovery for the festival. Like, what do you think makes like a perfect festival performer? Like, what are you looking for in both the new and the legacy?
Well, most of the bands that we book, including the new ones, we have seen perform live, right? Either me, mostly, I've seen all except for maybe Grace, I've seen actually all these bands live. And so I think that's a really important thing. And there's a couple other things, it's like a little, it's like a 2 or 3 or 4 dimensional thing. We like to have some of our newer artists that we've helped develop within the last year or so. Obviously, some of our heritage artists, like, for example, this year we have Pete Yorn playing, right? And, I'm going to play a song by Rosanne Cash, who was absolute royalty, right? And so it's this mix of live and artists that we feel, that we think are going to really blow people away, and, we're not always right. Sometimes we take a chance. Like, here's a good example. Before Phoebe Bridgers sort of blew up, I really insisted we book Phoebe Bridgers, right? And internally they were like, I don't know. I was like, I'm telling you, just roll with me on this, right? And again, I'm not always right. And we put Phoebe on the big stage. And there was a lot of internal discussion about, like, no, we should put her on the Marina. Not a lot of people know her yet. We just started playing her first album. And I'm like, I'm telling you guys, I've seen her. She's going to blow people away. And she did. Similar thing with Kingfish, Christone Kingfish. What's Kingfish's last name? He doesn't even have a last name. I know, it's Kingfish, the blues guy, right? Another one of those situations where, like, we hadn't been playing Kingfish's music. But I saw, again, a YouTube video of Kingfish, and I was like, fuck, we are booking this guy. He is going to blow people away. So it's, some familiarity, some commitment to supporting artists that are newer. And then, like we had Femi Kuti on one year, the
that
festival.
Was incredible, by
who's, we play Femi, we play Fela, but he's not like core, but we knew the festival performance was going to be incredible. I would put George Porter of the Meters in that category for this year. We play a lot of Meters music. Not a lot of people are familiar with George Porter, but I saw George at the Ardmore Rock and Roll, whatever, once, and I saw him again, and he rocks the Meter stuff, and the band is cooking, and so we went for George. We booked George. So it's a little bit of all these sort of elements coming together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I have 2 more Fest questions in this middle section for you. One, the decision to no longer do the what is now Freedom Mortgage Pavilion, the kind of big thing, is one of my favorite decisions you've made because I like staying in one place because I'm old and I don't like migrating. But what kind of went into the decision to do that?
Well, it was really kind of simple. The touring business really started to heat up, and that made it more complicated, even though there were more opportunities out in the marketplace, So, along with the Live Nation folks, we just decided, like, let's put it on ice for a bit, whatever. Also, the move to September made a really big difference for us. The festival has traditionally been in August. It was always the same weekend as Newport Folk, which is the reason why I could never go to Newport Folk until this past year. So, I think those were, like a couple things were in alignment, and we just decided to focus really on Wiggins Park and the primary festival footprint.
I think it's great because I think, like, I don't know, like, to me, it just feels like that, like, is more indicative of kind of the spirit of the festival over there. And that isn't to say that I haven't seen some of my favorite performances ever over at the big house. But I really love the river and the Marina stage. It's one of my favorite places to see music.
It's more intimate. I mean, let's face it, we're talking maybe at the max 7,000-8,000 people. Maybe 10 versus 30,
right?
Plus, right? So we've gotten all kinds of feedback about it, but we're focused on Wiggins, and we're psyched for this year.
And the last question I have about the festival that I've always been curious, who's your white whale? Who have you been trying to book that has never either worked out or you just can't make it happen?
Wow. Well, we had a couple white whales, and they've played already, and that was as a result of our the partnership that we have with Live Nation to do shows over at the Shed. Like David Byrne, MMJ. Although we did have a solo gym show one year at the festival, and that was really cool. That was really cool. So I don't know. We had Dylan one year, right?
Yeah.
Although that was kind of like, he's never been on our wish list, but you might remember they had that Americanarama festival touring with Dylan and Wilco. I think MMJ were a part of that.
They were.
And that sort of fell into our laps, and we were like, unbelievable. That was a great. And I remember it fucking poured the night of that show.
Yes, it did. I was in the lawn, sir.
It was
wearing trash bags. Yes, it did pour.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah. I've gone through a lot of trash bags. What can I tell you? I'll add a third question, because people ask us are still like, why did you move it to September? And we moved it to September because of the fucking weather. It was before the pandemic. We had begun talking about moving it. Increasing thunderstorms. The environment was getting rougher and rougher to handle for us, and it's an outdoor festival. And there were a bunch of times before we moved it where we had to shut down, a day or two of the festival. I remember one year we got our asses totally kicked. We had to shut down a day of performances. Well, last year was no walk in the park either, but I remember Dawes were headlining one year, and the heavens opened up. And I remember I was walking on stage with Taylor and their production guys, and literally the water was like above my ankles. The stage is covered, but there's only so much you could do. So but we're psyched because the weather's looking good.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some old picks also from performers from the festival. I'll go first. Mine, I picked a Pete Yorn song. I've always loved Pete, and one of the things that he was a part of that still amazes me exists and is one of my favorite. We talked about this maybe last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, but celebrities who moonlight as musicians, is he did an album with Scarlett Johansson, actually an album and an EP. Mine pick is from the album, and the album was called Breakup. It came out in 2009, and this song's called Blackie's Dead, and let's give a little listen here. That's a vibe, and it's so much better than it has any right to be honest. Pete said that the idea of this album came to him in a dream. It's inspired by the Serge Gainsbourg, Brigitte Bardot work, which is somewhat perfectly fitting for Scarlett Johansson in that role, and Serge with Pete. But I am super excited to see him perform this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We had heard Pete was putting a new record out. We've always, we played his music since he started, and he's always been a great friend of this radio station. And we reached out, and he was available. So, I like the Friday night. He's playing Friday night. I like the pairing of Pete, and we have the Walkmen playing as well. So, very, very excited. They're, Pete will do his thing, the Walkmen will do their thing. And I was really bummed because when the Walkmen played here in Philly the last time, it was during our music conference in May. I think they played 3, maybe 4 shows at Union Transfer. And because I was busy here, I wasn't able to see the Walkmen. So I was like, yes, we got the Walkmen.
On the Walkmen tip, real quick, you guys teased me, all right? Because when you were slow rolling announcements of who was playing, and when you announced the Walkmen and there were still spots available, I was like, well, right before that, the Walkmen are playing in New York with Idols, and I was like, is fucking Idols going to play the XPoNential Music Festival? And then I saw that Idols was playing in Canada this weekend, and I was like, damn it.
Well, maybe next year. We'll see.
I would like to see the XPN crowd feel the full fury of an Idols live show. I don't know if you've seen them live, but
no, I have not.
It's amazing.
I have not.
Absolutely amazing.
I have not. Yeah, back to your question about like how do you decide on what, I don't know. We've had. We don't like to rock. We can't really rock too hard, but we can rock. Yeah. Why? It's about the audience. It's like we know what their expectations are, but we also know the limitations of what we can do to surprise and delight people.
For sure.
Right, and that may sound maybe too overly critical about some bands, but that's not really it, because it is about our community. You know what I mean? It's just like, I can't throw a punk rock concert. Like,
right.
Not that Idols are a punk rock concert, but they're out there. They're out there, and we play Idols. So it's not like,
exactly.
So
no, it definitely, like, you guys do a very good job of not playing like a straight line, but like threading the needle to kind of take the audience through a good experience from start to finish. And not, you push them a little, but not enough that pushes them outside of their comfort zone.
No, that's exactly right. Like, we know the edges pretty well. Yeah. Right? Not like for the festival, but also for almost all of our live stuff. We know because we book a ton of stuff for all kinds of stuff. And we also know the edges, on the radio side of things. So, and someone's probably listening going like, there should be no edges. It's like, well, hey,
hey, member supported. You got to play the game, my friends.
Exactly. Know your audience. It's important.
What do you got for old, my friend?
Well, I mentioned Rosanne Cash. Roseanne's playing on Saturday night. Fucking royalty. Well, that's all I'll say. Rosanne Cash, the daughter of Johnny and his first wife, Vivian, legendary Grammy Award winning, Americana winning, all the above. And I'm going to go way back and play a song she put out in, that was, I think, our biggest pop hit, big country artist back in the day, 7 Year Ache, which came out in 80 or 81, I think. It was like her highest charting pop song. So let's listen to this. 7 Year Ache, it's Rosanne. And that's Rosanne Cash, 7 Year Ache. And she's great live, like a tried and true performer. Doesn't have a new record out, so it's all about her greatest songs, which fans love. They'll know every word to every song. And so I'm really psyched. And let me just say one other thing. Guster are headlining on Sunday. And all I'm going to say is that we are planning something very fun and very special for Guster's set. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So if that's enough to get you to get off your butt and come to the festival on Sunday, because we love Guster. They're super fun. Ryan and the crew are awesome. It's definitely something to look forward to. So there you go.
Guster has one of my favorite festival moments recently when Ryan came out and stole someone's lawn chair.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, that was 2 years ago, right? 3 years
Something
ago?
Like that. 3 years,
and,
I think, yeah.
And I remember the Bare Naked Ladies were playing at the Shed across the way. And we had the Bare Naked Ladies come over and they did a song with Guster. It was super fun. They're just great guys, and that's the... we like to have fun. It's and that's the vibe.
And another band with a brilliant album this year.
Totally amazing. So, all right, man. Well, no sleep until Friday. There you go.
Right.
And then
Back
no sleep
work.
for a few days.
That's right. Back to work for Bruce. Guys, you can follow us on the socials. I'm at Yo That's My Jawn on everything. Bruce is at Some Velvet Blog on everything. Of course, the playlist will be updated with all of these songs. Tickets are still available if you hear this before Friday, or actually if you hear it Saturday or Sunday and you want to come on out for the XPoNential Music Festival presented by Subaru at Wiggins Park. Seriously, put me on the payroll. And then And then, of course, we do this every week. So like, subscribe, share it, tell your friends about it, and we will catch you next week. But I got a festival to listen to, and Bruce has one to put on. So until next time, guys.
See ya.